They told me if you put a puppy in your video, then it's guaranteed to go viral. What do you think? What do you think, Henry? What do you think? Oh, what do you think? You just want to go back to chewing your bone? Okay. All right. There we go. Okay, this is our first interview we've ever done with an actual fraud victim. This is exciting. This is a milestone. This is one of the formats we're going to be doing on this channel. I think I'm going to keep it to kind of like a documentary style thing, but I also want to interview people so they can tell their stories. And as you'll see throughout this interview, had Emily known the scam, had she been familiar with the scam, she wouldn't have fallen for it, right? So that's what I want to do. I want to get 1,000 people, 1 million people's stories so everyone can watch these videos, be educated on how the scams happen, and then prevent it from happening so they know the steps and they can recall these videos and understand, oh, okay, there's a couple red flags here. Maybe I should stop or, ask a friend. And that's really what the goal of this channel is education. It's an education channel. I'd really like to thank Emily for coming and having the courage to share her story. This takes guts to do. She felt shame for years. She felt embarrassed on how she could possibly fall for a scam like this, but there is no shame. People get scammed across every single demographic that exists. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your gender, doesn't matter how much money you make, how many degrees you have, your education level, nothing matters. $5 billion a year in online scams. This is happening to everybody, and most people are too embarrassed to admit it. So I really, really, really want to thank Emily for having the courage to come on the show, put her face in the internet, and let others know what happened to her so that you can recognize when this is happening to you. So let's just get right into it.
Well, it was about 10 years ago now.
10 years ago, okay. All right.
So I don't think this whole fraud thing was really as prevalent as it is now. That's my opinion. I don't know if that is true. Mm-hmm. But I got a phone call at around maybe 5:15, 5:30 in the morning.
You were sleeping?
Yes, I was sound asleep.
Okay.
So to me, anytime anybody gets a call basically in the middle of the night, early morning, it's not a good thing.
Who died?
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah, okay.
So I answered the phone and it was a gentleman. He did not have any accent except he spoke plain English. Yeah. He sounded like an older man, maybe in his late 50s, early 60s. And he introduced himself as a sergeant so-and-so of the RCMP. So he said, am I speaking to Emily? And I said, yes. And he said, I am so-and-so, sergeant from the RCMP. He said, I'm calling on behalf of our squadron or something. And he said, we have reason to believe that your identity has been compromised. And right away, I remember my heart pounding a mile a minute, thinking the worst fear ever, that my whole identity of who I am and my credit cards and my credit score and everything I've worked for is suddenly going to disappear.
You always hear this identity theft. It's the worst possible thing that can happen to you.
Yeah, and he was so serious and just very matter-of-factly. And I was kind of hyperventilating a little bit, and he was like, calm down, it's okay. We're gonna find the culprits. And he says, what we need to do is you need to follow what we're going to tell you precisely. And he says, we have our team on it, and we specialize in fraudulent people all around the world. And we just want to make sure that we have all of our steps covered. So I said, okay, no problem. I said, what is it you want me to do? And he said, well, first we need your email. And he said, once we get your email, he said, we're going to send you a link. And he said, are you close to your computer? And I said, yes. And he said, once you get this link, he said, I want you to go down to your computer and log in and go to your email. And he said, I want you to click on the link. And he says, once you click on that link, he said, go to your bank account because he says, we want to make sure that everything that you have in your bank account is going to stay there. That it's, we want to see, have they done anything in your bank account? Is there something that we should be looking for? Is there any changes? He said, this is just normal procedure. We're just making sure that, this is all, your money is where your money should be.
Yeah.
So I was so, literally, I was woken up from a very deep sleep, and you're groggy, and I'm in panic, and I'm doing exactly what I was told to do because he was so trustworthy. There was no reason for me I didn't get any red flags at all. It was so, his voice was just calm and nonchalant.
What you'd expect from an actual fraud prevention service or the actual RCMP. Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
because, and I just did what I was told because I've always been abiding citizen, law-abiding citizen. I've always done what I had to do. So I did exactly what they said. I went to my computer, I logged in, I went to my email, and I clicked on the link. Then I went from there, I went to my bank account, and I opened it up. And he said to me, because I still had him on the phone, and he said to me, what's going to happen now is you're going to see that now we have access to your computer. And I said, okay. And he says, no fear, don't worry. He said, this is all just normal. He says, we're just, making sure that, you and I are looking at this together, that we're not taking from you, and, you can vouch that your money is there, and we can write it down, and everything is good. So it's not your word against our word or anything like that. And so I said, okay.
He was including you. We're going to do this together.
Together. It was all about just being together as a team.
We're going to do this
We're
as a
working
team.
as a team.
It's giving you kind of this fake sense of security. It's like, okay, this is the guy, he's going to help me. Okay.
Because I kept thinking, okay, I've never had my identity on the line before. I don't know what the process is. I had never been frauded before. Never. I trust people.
Yeah.
Maybe I trust them too much.
Maybe. Part of,
So anyways, I remember thinking as I was watching the monitor on my desktop, I remember thinking, this is weird. It was just really odd for me to have my bank account open, and I'm seeing the mouse move all over the place.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, my money was still there. Everything was still where it was supposed to be.
Interesting.
And I thought, okay, that eased my mind.
Yeah.
So we were only in my bank account, maybe, I'm going to say, a couple of minutes.
Okay.
And so he said, okay. He said, does everything look good? And I said, yes, everything looks fine. And he says, what I want you to do is wait for us to call, because we're going to do on our part what we have to do in terms of, information. I have to log it that I spoke to you at this time. And, we're going to continue our investigation. We're going to watch your account. We're going to make sure that, it's all marked down correctly, and, that your identity is not going to be stolen. It was just basically, what I understood he was going to do was just do his part, which is all the legality stuff to keep me safe. So I thought, okay, that's fine. So I logged off. I went upstairs, washed my face. About an hour went by, and I just started waking up.
And your wheels started turning.
And the wheels started turning.
Okay.
And I kind of was getting out of I had made myself a coffee. I'm kind of getting out of my sleep mode. I'm kind of getting out of my panic. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, this is weird. Why would the RCMP call me? How did they get my number? How did they get my name?
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to go back on my computer and I'm just going to double check that everything is okay. So I went back to my computer, I logged in, and that's when I realized what had happened. They had taken money from my Visa.
Your Visa. Okay.
They took, I don't know if they took my number down. I don't know if they took a cash advance. I don't know, but I know that my Visa was sky high, my balance. And when I had first opened the account, I had two different accounts. I had a checking and a savings. So when I had the account open with them, I had forgotten that I had a line of credit. So when I was in my account, I really didn't scroll all the way down because I just, like I said, I was half asleep in this panic.
Yeah.
And I didn't scroll all the way down.
And you're looking for your assets, the cash that you have,
exactly,
not like a line of credit.
A line of credit, right?
Interesting. Okay.
So all of a sudden, as I started scrolling down, now all of a sudden I looked and there was $5,000 now owing on my line of credit.
5,000 on the dot?
5,000 on the dot, which I had zero. I never really used it. I used my line of credit if I needed an emergency or I was renovating or whatever I needed it
it's like
for.
a home equity line kind of thing, or just a different line of credit with the bank?
Yeah, it was for home equity and
okay.
stuff like that. I had taken it out and I had used it once before. I paid it down and then I just
available credit.
It's available credit.
Gotcha.
And right then and there, I thought, oh my gosh, I got scammed. And this was at about maybe now 7 o'clock in the morning.
Okay,
and
so
it was
hours.
on a Saturday morning. And I thought, oh my gosh, my bank does not open till 9:30 or 10 o'clock, whatever it was. So for 2 hours or so, I'm in a complete panic thinking, who do I call? What do I say? So I called a family member of mine and talked to him, and it was basically, well, we can't really do anything until we go to the bank. So of course I was there first thing when the bank opened, and they had told me, did you phone the police? And I hadn't at that time because I didn't know. I wasn't.
You weren't 100% sure you got
I wasn't
scammed?
100% sure because I thought, well, was it there before?
Before they called?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I kept thinking back on everything, and I kind of got lost in that moment and lost in what was happening, and it was just They really are professionals. They really are, because in one moment you're super secure with them, and then suddenly I found myself thinking, did that really happen? Bottom line is, the bank called the police. The police came.
They came to your house?
Nope, they came to...
Oh, to the bank.
They came to the bank.
Oh, interesting, okay.
But they did end up coming to the house too, after they left the bank. So I told them my story, and the bottom line was, they just said, it happens to tons of people, and the only thing the bank could do was to reimburse me to what was on my Visa, so that it brought it back down to, I don't even remember if I had a balance on my Visa, but whatever was added in that time frame, they took it off, because obviously that was fraudulent. It wasn't me doing it.
It's easier to do with a Visa.
Yes, but my line of credit, they could not do anything. And the reason for that was because the bank had said, you gave them access.
Okay.
It wasn't like they just went in.
It wasn't like they hacked into your account.
They
and
didn't
stole
hack
it.
in.
No,
I had literally,
like, as far as they're concerned,
opened
Emily
the door.
had sent them this money.
Exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
I literally opened the door, gave them access, and that was why they said, we can't, if you gave them access, if you pressed on that link, if you let them surf your account, there's nothing that we can do. And I just remember in that moment, I thought, oh my gosh, I now have lost $5,000. Well, I gained a new bill of $5,000, and they walked away with it.
$5,000.
And I just cried. I cried and cried, and I cried to the officers. And they did inform me that they said, the RCMP is never going to call you. We're never going to do, identify as this. We're never going to, we don't know anything about taking your identity. There's not anyone who's going to call and pretend that they're us. We don't work that way.
Yeah, we don't take over your computer.
And he said, this is what we do. This is how we will handle it. Only if you call us. He says, we're not scouring the city and scouring, people's, all over the world, all over North America or whatever. We're not doing that. But he said, I understand where you're coming from, because they make you believe that that's a whole other line of a special squad who does that. And that's really what I believed. I believed that there was a special squad or just specially trained people that are alerted when something suspicious happens to someone's account, or something suspicious happens to their identity.
That's not like a stretch. Like, that's a totally believable thing, in my opinion.
Well, because the thing is Hollywood doesn't help that either, because you're watching all these movies and you think that, as much as I love to be entertained, you kind of think, well, part of it could be true, where there could be a special squad, they're unmarked, there's unmarked cars, there's there could be, like, there are private eyes that are undercover who are, working undercover, or, Homeland Security. Like, I don't know. I'm not educated in that.
No, nobody is.
My biggest problem was they woke me up super early in the morning. I was caught off guard. I was half asleep. I went into a panic. I did what I was told. I trusted them. There was no reason, there was no red flag that made me stop and think at all, from the beginning until when I seen that mouse moving on my desktop, that I wasn't moving it. I did think to myself, this is weird. But then to me, it was like, okay, well, they're just double checking for me.
Yeah, and you said your money was there too.
The money was there. Yeah. There was nothing missing. They didn't take money out of my account. Yeah. They used my line of credit, which I made the mistake of not scrolling down. And what I think they did was, I think they didn't even do it at that time.
No.
I think what they did was, after I logged out, I think they had access now to my bank account because of my key. Now that I was educated a little more as time went on, I think they could see what my password was by the keys that I pressed on
keylogger
on my thing.
Yep.
And I think they went back in after I logged out, and that's when I think they did it.
Interesting.
Because it was fine, and I was, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, wow, okay, thank God, all my money's there. Okay, we're good. Go do your job. Go find these culprits. Make sure my identity is not compromised. Make sure I'm, everything is good. Everything I worked for my whole life.
Yeah. So I think it's a police investigation. You do what you got to do to keep me safe.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt. And
interesting.
The bank was extremely apologetic. They felt really, really bad. But again, they also told me that it happens so often, and they said people don't talk about it. They don't talk about it at all. They said it's a kind of, like, people frown on it, like you're some stupid person. And I don't consider myself stupid by any means. I think that I was really taken an innocent person. And from what I've read and from what I have learned from since then is that they definitely get you on the most inopportune time. It's like late at night, early in the morning, and they make you feel that this is something you have to instantaneously do, because if you don't, it's going to get worse, and it's just going to explode. And then what will you do? Follow our instructions. We're here for you. We're going to help you every which way that we can.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to have that emotional, immediate reaction because it's an emergency.
Yeah.
And even you said, not even long after, your wheels started getting turning. You know, your wheels started turning like, okay, maybe something's up.
Yep.
Because they got you at the perfect time. They nailed you at the perfect time.
Yeah, because after I logged out, I did my thing, brushed my teeth, made myself a coffee, sitting there, and I'm like, this is weird.
It was a reaction. So literally like an emergency. You're just on autopilot. Okay, what do I do? That's exactly what they want.
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. So, I've learned since then. I mean, now it's much more sophisticated in terms of text messaging, phone calls, emails, stuff like that.
Facebook hacks, social media hacks.
Yeah, like
it's
to me, I was just like, if I get pulled over by the police, if I've done something wrong, I'm like, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. I'm I listen. I'm not one to be a rebel.
Here's a question for you. If you remember, I know it was 10 years ago, but did they allude to knowing what bank you were with? Because right now, I'm thinking, what did they need to scam you? They had your name and your phone number. Did they know anything about where you were banking with?
I don't.
It's not necessary that they did. I'm just curious if they
No,
mentioned.
I don't recall them knowing that. They just said what you need to do is go log into your computer while we're on the phone.
Because they said they weren't from a bank, they're from RCMP,
RCMP,
which looks over the whole country.
Yes.
So really, all they needed to get this whole thing started was your phone number and your name.
I guess
which
so.
happens on data leaks every single day. All they needed to start the scam was her phone number and her name.
Yeah.
That's it. Emily and your phone number. Hey, is this Emily? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You got scammed. We got to take care of this right away.
Yeah. And they made sure that I went on my computer while they were on the phone.
Of course, yeah. They want to walk you through the process. They probably had you install something like TeamViewer.
I don't even know what it was, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Like I didn't. Sort of remote software. There's all kinds.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
I was really, what I was thankful. I was like, oh, thank you so much. I was thanking them. Thank you so much for paying attention.
It's insane that
and
they
thank
can do
you
that.
for, I hope you find this person who's doing this. This is terrible. Yeah. And like, I think that was really not very, like, I was just being polite.
Yeah, of course. You don't think of it because you're an innocent, law-abiding citizen.
Yeah.
It was really obviously it's horrible, but from their perspective, it really was a perfect scam.
Yes.
It was perfect.
You
follow, you're a law-abiding citizen.
Yes.
You don't think that way because you're a good person.
Yeah.
They got you at the perfect time.
Early in the morning. Dozy.
You had access to some cash, whether it was credit or whatever. It was really a textbook perfect scam from their perspective.
From there, because there was no arguing. There was no one. I didn't hang up. I didn't.
Yeah.
There was nothing. I didn't do anything. It was, if they were teaching someone how to do it, I was the perfect candidate to do so. Yeah. I did everything that they wanted me to do. I mean, for the longest time, I didn't tell a lot of people. I told family members. Yeah. And even at that, I was, very reluctant at telling them. But now that years have gone by, I don't feel embarrassed. I feel that I definitely learned a super valuable lesson.
It's an expensive lesson.
Very expensive. And thank God they only took $5,000 because my line of credit was much more.
Okay.
Which is surprising that they didn't take the whole thing.
They probably planned on it.
Maybe they did, but I don't know if they were going to do it again, or it would have looked too suspicious if suddenly even triple that amount had come out all at once for nothing. Do you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what their logic was.
And you never recovered anything from this?
The only thing that they did was
just the visa.
Just the
reversed?
visa,
So
because
you're
the
still
visa
at 5
has
Gs.
insurance, and
Yeah.
it happens
It's
a lot
easier
where
to reverse
people.
a visa transaction.
Yeah, but no, it was unfortunate. So I had to start making payments on that line of credit.
Wow.
Yeah.
How long before you could pay it back?
It took me a while because that wasn't in my budget.
No, it's years. It's $5,000.
Yeah, for me, $5,000 is a lot
For
of money.
everyone, $5,000 a lot. For 99.999% of the population,
Yeah, because I'm just a regular worker.
Yeah.
I work and.
The fact that you even had access to $5,000
Exactly.
is crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it took me a little while for sure to pay it off. The bank did give me a break on the interest rate, though.
Oh,
They
wow,
did.
that's
They
good.
did lower the
Yeah.
interest rate to maybe, I think it was like 2.5 or something. It was
So they
very,
didn't even
very,
give you
very
zero
low.
interest.
They
knew
did
that
not.
You knew you got scammed, but they're still going to make money.
They're
off
still
of your
going to make
scam.
money. They did, but they didn't charge
Banking.
me. Yeah, they didn't charge
Yeah,
me.
they only made a little bit of money off your
Exactly,
scam. Okay, that's
yeah.
good. That was very generous of them. I think so. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, banking.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
Yeah. But
Wow.
that was my experience.
This really was a textbook perfect scam that they pulled off. It was the perfect person, a trustworthy average person who wouldn't even possibly fathom that this could happen because they're trustworthy. They're good people. Most people are good. Most people are like Emily. They don't think this way because they're just not mischievous. It was perfect timing. She had money in her account. Right? It was really like a textbook scam. So I think the two biggest takeaways we can take from this story specifically is the feds aren't going to reach out to you. If you're in Canada, the RCMP won't call you. The FBI will just show up at your door, right? They're not going to call you and try to, solve this online. So that's something that maybe you didn't know. Who knows? You didn't know that. I wouldn't know that until it happened to me either. I guess it's supposed the cops can call you. I had something lost and found. The cops called me through a phone. I had to, whatever. It's a bit of a different situation, but it's not like they don't use the phone. So that's a big takeaway. Another big precautionary thing, among other things, but another big precautionary thing is do not give anybody access to your computer in pretty much any situation, unless you're 100% sure. There are legit companies that will offer tech support with remote software, with things like TeamViewer. It's not all bad, but if you are not 100% sure that that company is legit, don't do it. There's too much damage that can be done by giving somebody remote access to your computer, especially when you have your browser saved on there and you've done online banking. It's just too risky. So ask somebody in person, call a local company, get help, get somebody that's more trustworthy, that's not online, that doesn't need the remote access. It's just too dangerous. And once again, I'd really like to thank Emily. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. Her story is going to save people from getting scammed. Share this with your friends, subscribe if you'd like to, I'd really, really appreciate it. We're trying to grow the channel. I'd also like to invite you to be a part of the show. If you've been scammed, we want to hear your story. We can do a Zoom call, we can do a phone call. If you're local, I can meet you in person. We want to grow this channel, we want to let people know all the different types of scams out there. So if you visit fraudsquad.help/I've been scammed, I'll put the link in the description. You can fill out a form and we can take that further. I'll have my producer reach out to you. We can potentially have you on the show. We would really, really love that. We'd appreciate that. And you are going to be saving people money in the long run. Sometimes their life savings. This is important. Education is a big deal. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great day.
So talk to me when you think you found an answer, and tell me all the secrets that you have, and tell me I'm